Rain slid down the cracked windows of the Maple Street apartments. Emma Rivers, a 27-year-old freelance photographer, had moved here 2 weeks ago. She wanted peace, isolation, and silence. She got everything, except the silence. At night, when the world outside was drowned by the rain, she could hear something behind her bedroom wall. At first, she thought it was the plumbing, but one night she realized it wasn't water moving through the pipes. It was breathing. Slow, steady, and sometimes it whispered her name. Emma. Emma woke up, heart pounding. She walked to the door, no one there. Only a single photograph on the ground. A picture of her own window, taken from outside. On the back, written in black ink, "Nice view." The next morning, she went to the building manager. "Who lives next door to me?" "Oh, that'd be Daniel Cross. Moved in last month. Quiet guy." That night, she heard the breathing again. Only this time, there was another sound, a faint click, like a camera shutter. Daniel Cross, early 30s, polite, clean-cut, expressionless. He received constant mail, old VHS tapes, audio reels, and small unmarked boxes. They met by chance in the mailroom. "You're in 203, right?" "Yes," Daniel said, smiling without showing teeth. "Walls are pretty thin here. Hope I'm not too noisy." "Not really," Emma replied, "but I hear breathing sometimes." Daniel tilted his head, curious. "Breathing?" "Yeah, like someone behind the wall." "Then we're hearing the same thing." He smiled again. It didn't reach his eyes. A few days later, Emma reviewed photos she'd taken for a client. In the background of every shot, barely visible, a pale face, half in shadow, closer in each frame. She called the police. Officer Hale responded. "Miss Rivers, there's no evidence anyone's entered your apartment." "Then explain this." "Look, there's a face." Hale sighed. "Probably just reflection or compression artifacting." But when she placed her palm on the wall, she felt it vibrate, slowly, rhythmically, like a heartbeat. "It's alive," she whispered. A week later, Emma's cat disappeared. She searched the apartment until she heard a faint tapping behind the kitchen cabinet. When she removed the back panel, she froze. Behind the wall was a hidden cavity, and inside it, a small camera lens staring directly at her. Wired, old, still on. A rusted metal hatch was taped beside it. On the hatch, in dried red smears, "Don't close your eyes." For a moment, she couldn't move, because she realized the lens was adjusting its focus. The next morning, police returned. Daniel's door was unlocked. Inside, nothing. Empty room, except the floorboards near the bed were hollow. Beneath them, a narrow tunnel. Boxes stacked neatly along the walls. A week later, Emma's cat disappeared. She searched the apartment until she heard a faint tapping behind the kitchen cabinet. When she removed the back panel, she froze. Behind the wall was a hidden cavity, and inside it, a small camera lens staring directly at her. Wired, old, still on. A rusted metal hatch was taped beside it. On the hatch, in dried red smears, "Don't close your eyes." For a moment, she couldn't move, because she realized the lens was adjusting its focus. The next morning, police returned. Daniel's door was unlocked. Inside, nothing. Empty room, except the floorboards near the bed were hollow. Beneath them, a narrow tunnel. Boxes stacked neatly along the walls. Inside each, labeled tapes. Room 101, Amanda. Room 203, Daniel. Room 204, Emma. Emma's tape was blank, waiting to be filled. That night, Emma packed her bags to leave. But then, the breathing returned, right behind her. The recording isn't finished. The lights flickered. Her phone went dead. Through the peephole, the hallway light dimmed, and a shadow covered the lens from the outside. A whisper. "Smile for me, Emma." The door burst inward. Daniel stood there, pale under the light, holding a camera. The red rec light blinked. "Now," he said softly, "say something worth keeping." 3 days later, police raided the building again. No trace of Emma. But in the basement, they found a camera still recording. Inside, a cassette labeled Emma_204.mp4. The footage was shaky. Emma tied to a chair, eyes wide, lips trembling. Daniel's voice behind the camera. Every voice deserves to be heard, forever. The last thing the camera captured, Emma turning her head toward the lens. "He lives between the walls." Then static and a whisper. "Don't stop recording." In the LAPD evidence room, a night guard logged a new file appearing on the system. It wasn't uploaded by anyone. The timestamp read 0313 AM. Final, ROOM_205.mp4. 205 was his own apartment number. Rain crawled down the cracked windows of the precinct like slow veins. The radio hissed, blending weather reports with silence between frequencies. Detective Sarah Cole sat at her desk, staring at an old cassette player. Unit 4-11, homicide on Madison Avenue. Female, early 20s, no signs of struggle. She pulled her trench coat over tired shoulders. This was the third case in 2 months. Same MO, same message. Each scene left behind only one clue. A single cassette tape, placed neatly near the victim's body, labeled by hand, tape 19. The tape clicked. Then came the static. And under that static, a faint whisper breathed through the speaker. "You're hearing what I keep." Sarah hit stop. She had heard that voice before. She just couldn't remember where. The building smelled like iron and damp carpet. A flickering hallway light pulsed like a slow heartbeat. Sarah's partner, Detective Morales, lifted the crime scene tape. "Single victim," he muttered. "No forced entry, no signs of trauma. You know the drill." Sarah nodded. The victim, a young woman, was lying on her side, her eyes open, mouth slightly parted, as if she had tried to speak before her heart stopped. The cassette was resting in her hand, old, black, dusty. When Sarah looked closer, she noticed tiny etch marks on the tape's plastic shell, heartbeat lines carved into it. Morales turned off the room's fan. Instant silence. And in that silence, Sarah thought she heard it again, the faint pulse of someone still breathing. Over the next 3 weeks, 5 more victims surfaced. Each one died in their own home. Each left behind a tape. The forensics team cleaned the audio. When slowed down, the waveform of each recording matched a human heartbeat. Every victim's pulse had been recorded, at the moment of death. Sarah reviewed the files for 12 straight hours. Every whisper, every click, every hiss of static felt like it was burrowing deeper into her skull. Then she noticed something odd. Every recording ended at the exact same timestamp, 031306. On a Friday evening, as Sarah packed to leave the precinct, she found a white envelope on her desk. No stamp, no sender. Inside, a small USB drive and a handwritten note. "Stop looking for the killer. Start listening for him." The USB drive contained one audio file, archive00.wav. Sarah pressed play. A child was humming. Then a male voice. "They gave me this gift when I was 6. I hear what others hide. I collect what they forget." The file ended with a flatline beep. Sarah leaned back in her chair. Her pulse quickened. And from her desk recorder, still off, came a faint echo. Her own voice whispering back, "You're hearing what I keep." Location, Pier 49 Storage Facility. Abandoned. Date, February 24th, 2018, 11:56 p.m. Sarah followed the signal from the USB metadata to a condemned warehouse. Inside, darkness layered with dust and the smell of decayed tape film. Hundreds of reels hung from nails labeled by hand. Transferred successfully. In the center of the room, a reel-to-reel player spun by itself. The tape hissed. Through the static, Sarah heard breathing, slow, deliberate. She spoke quietly. "Who's there?" The player clicked. The voice returned, softer now. "Detective Cole, welcome to the archive." She turned toward the sound. Nothing but empty air. But written across the concrete wall in fading black marker were the words, "Every voice I take becomes an echo." Back at her apartment, Sarah poured herself a glass of whiskey. She hadn't slept in 48 hours. Her reflection in the window looked like someone else entirely. Hollow eyes, trembling hands. She turned on her recorder. "This is Detective Sarah Cole, case file 114B. Suspect possibly uses advanced audio frequencies to..." A second voice cut through, her voice. "Don't stop recording." The recorder light blinked red. She hadn't pressed it. At exactly 3:13, her phone vibrated. Unknown number. "You're listening to me right now, detective." Her throat tightened. "Who is this?" "The one who keeps your silence." Then, click. Rain hammered the metal roof as Sarah re-entered the old storage building. She carried her service weapon and a portable recorder. The player in the center was still running, this time with a new tape spinning slowly. Its label, Tape 22, S. Cole. Her hands shook as she pressed play. Her own voice. "This is Detective Sarah Cole." Male voice overlapping. "Your voice is almost ready." The air went still. The lights flickered once, twice, and the room filled with the sound of heartbeats. Dozens of them. From every tape, every reel, every corner. They thudded in unison. A living wall of sound. Sarah screamed, "What do you want from me?" The voice came from behind her this time. Calm, close. "I don't want your life. I want your silence." The tape recorder clicked. Recording. 3 weeks later, March 19th, 2018, NYPD evidence vault. The night guard reported strange noises, whispers coming through the air vents. When he checked the shelves, a new tape was there. No label, no dust, fresh. He held it up to the light. Someone had carved into the plastic, Tape 22, Detective S. Cole. He put it into the player. Static, then breathing. Then, a woman's voice, calm, faint, fading. "He doesn't take lives. He keeps them." The lights went out. When they came back on, the tape was gone. But from the recorder, a faint voice whispered, "Don't stop recording." The wind off the Atlantic carried a wet chill through the streets of Willow Creek, a coastal town most people forgot existed. On Maple Hollow Road 13, perched on the cliffside, stood an old 2-story house swallowed by mist. Locals said it used to belong to the keeper of the Willow Creek Lighthouse, but no one had lived there for 20 years. That changed when Megan Holloway and her 8-year-old son Ethan moved in. They wanted quiet, isolation, a place to start over. They got all of it, except the silence. At 9:47 p.m., Megan noticed the bulb upstairs flicker on. There was no staircase to that floor. It had been removed years ago. Wind pressed against the windows. The boards groaned above. From Ethan's room came a low whispering. "Megan." "Ethan? Who are you talking to?" "Ethan. The man with the glasses." Megan stepped closer, her pulse quickening. "Honey, there's no one here." "Yes, there is. He lives upstairs. He told me about the sea." Then, tap, 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 from directly above. Soft, deliberate, like fingertips on wood. She looked up at the ceiling. The attic was supposed to be sealed. While checking the fuse box, Megan found a rusted vent cover half hidden behind the kitchen cabinet. Warm air, not dust, breathed out of it. She aimed her phone light inside. Something sat in the dark, a single shoe, child-sized, coated in dirt and handprints. Ethan entered quietly. "Mom, he sang to me today." "Who?" "The one up there." "What did he sing?" "He said, 'Don't stop recording.'" Her phone flickered and died. Officer Blake from Willow Creek PD arrived with a flashlight. "Ma'am, there's no one up there. Attic sealed shut." "Then who walks around at night?" He shone the beam across the ceiling and froze. The boards above Ethan's room were cut from the outside in. Something had once crawled through. As he wrote his report, a metallic clang echoed above them. He climbed up, careful, and found only an old tape recorder. The label read, WC 1997. The cassette still worked. He pressed play. Static, then waves, then a boy's voice. Dad, it's getting dark. Don't be afraid, son. They live upstairs with us. Blake's hand tightened. Who lives upstairs? The man's voice changed, low and wet. They move through the walls. If you don't record them, they forget you exist. Then silence. A whisper slid through the static. Room 13. Blake looked around. Megan and Ethan were gone. The house was empty, yet footsteps still paced overhead. Blake smashed the ceiling and crawled into the darkness. Dust, cobwebs, an old bed. On it, Ethan's toy car. Next to it lay a fresh cassette. Tape number 14, M. Holloway. He played it, a woman's voice trembling. If anyone hears this, he's still up there. Ethan's gone. He took him. Then a child whisper. Mom? I'm upstairs now. The recorder squealed. Blake's light flickered out. From the dark, a slow breathing. Welcome upstairs, officer. No one returned to the house. 3 days later, a local radio station broadcast a brief signal on its own frequency. A child's voice. Mom says we live here now. The source traced back to Maple Hollow Road 13. That property had no electricity. At 3:13 a.m., a new file appeared on the police server. /recordings/room13.mp4. Uploader unknown. If you hear footsteps above you tonight, count them. Subscribe for more transmissions from the mind chamber.